Okay, so as I was saying in the last video, or in the last section, so now we are on chapter 3, page 192. But this is going to be lesson 3. Okay, so lesson 3, what we're doing now is multiplying decimals, but no estimation this time. We're actually multiplying it with the decimal. Okay, and this is pretty easy if you look at the part in the book before where it's explaining each thing you do. It's not that bad, but you have to know how to multiply, okay? So, maybe I'll make a video on me multiplying later. But anyway, in this context, let's go ahead and just get started. So, when you multiply numbers, go ahead and set them up, 2.7 and 6. And right now, it's easiest just to ignore the decimal. So 6 times 7 is 42, and 6 times 2 is 12, and then you add whatever's up here. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16. Now, 162 is not my answer. You have to remember, look, right here, you have one decimal place. You have a number that's just one number behind the decimal. So on my answer, I need to make sure I have just one number behind the decimal. Like this, okay? So my answer is 16.2. So let's do another one. Now look over here. I have two numbers behind the decimal place. So these are a great opportunity to start off with. This is good for explaining. So 3 times 2, 3, 6. 3 times 5, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Now look, I have two numbers behind the decimal place, 1, 2, there's a decimal, so 1, 2 need to be behind the decimal in my answer, so 1.56. Alright, so again I have two decimals behind the decimal place, or two numbers behind the decimal place on this one, so I have 0.09 being multiplied by 5. So 5 times 9 is 45, so 5 and a 4. So 5 times 0 is 0, but then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Alright, that's it. Done with that, done with that. So I have 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal place. So my answer is 0.45. Or you can do 0.45, however you want to do that. Alright, here's another one. Look at this. 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal place. So 0.027 times 4. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10. 4 times 0 is 0 plus 1. 108. Now I have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So my answer is 0.108. 3 numbers behind the decimal again. So 0.071 times 8. Let's ignore the decimal for now. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 0 is 0 plus 5 is 5. Now let's pay attention to the decimal. So how many numbers are behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3. So I need to make sure I have 3 numbers behind the decimal. 0.568. Okay, last one. 0.065. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Times 18. Okay, so when we multiply, make sure you pay attention to this example. Notice everything else that we multiplied here was by one number, by one number, by one number, one number. One number's on the bottom. Right here, I have 2 numbers. That's why this is going to be a good example. Okay, so start off with the 8. I like to circle what I'm starting with. 8 times 5 is 4D, so there's a 4D. 8 times 6 is going to be 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. 8 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5. Now look. What I do when I'm done using the 8 is I scratch everything out. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Then lay an egg, like a chicken, okay? Scratch, lay an egg, and then run around a circle. This is what I'm working on now, the 1. So the 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 0 is 0. Now I'm done using the 1. So what's important there is when you move on to the second number, you put a 0 in front. If there's 3 numbers, you'd have to put 2 zeros in front. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 5 is 7, 5 plus 6 is 11, 1 plus 0 is 1. Alright, so now when I multiply this out, look how many numbers were behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I have 1.170. And that's my answer. Okay, now a word problem. A bee hummingbird has a mass of 1.8 grams. How many grams are 6 hummingbirds and a 4-gram nest? And a 4-gram nest. That's really interesting. So each hummingbird has a mass of 1.8 grams. Okay, so I have 1.8 times 6. That's how we're going to start our problem off. And this is going to be how much all the hummingbirds weigh altogether. So 6 times 8 is 40, 48. 6 times 1 is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I have one number behind the decimal, so that's 10.8. So 10.8. Now look at this. This is the weight of all the hummingbirds, 10.8 grams, and a 4-gram nest. So, and I need to add 4 more grams for the nest. So 10.8 plus 4. So remember what we did, I think it was 2 lessons ago at least, in the first lesson of this chapter. Make sure all of our decimal places are lined up. This is what 10.8 plus 4 looks like. So it's 14.8 grams. Okay. All right. Justin buys 12 pencils for 85 or 0.85 dirhams each. He pays with a 20 dirham bill. How much change will he receive? So he buys 12 pencils for 85. Okay, these are great problems. Now that we're really bringing all kinds of things together. I'm going to do this one in red. So I need to figure out what is 12. What is 12 times 0.85? That's the first thing I want to figure out. Well, start off with 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is... Oh, sorry. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Scratch, scratch, lay an egg, run around in a circle. 8 times 2, 16. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So I need to add these things together. I'm running out of room here, so I'm going to just write the number over here. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 6 is 12. 9 plus 1 is 10. And then, look, I had 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal. So that's 10.2. So that's how much he's going to pay for the pencils. But now the question is, how much change does he get back from a 20 dirham bill? So if he has 20 dirhams and you take away 10.2 dirhams to pay for the pencils, how much money does he get back? Well, we got to distribute now. That's a 1, that's going to be a 10. That's a 9, that's going to be a 10. That's a 9, that's going to be a 10. So 10 minus... Oh, well, I kind of messed that up a little bit. Let me rewrite that. 20 minus 10.20. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 I can't do, so that's where I have to start adding. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 0 is 9. 1 minus 1, 0. So there's my answer. The change you'll get back is 9.8 dirhams from 20. And that should make sense. 9.8 plus 10.2 is 20 dirhams. Alright, next page. And how much time do we have? 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rush through these top 6 and then I'm going to end this video. Okay. 1.2 times 7. So 1.2 times 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. I have one number behind the decimal, so my answer is going to have one number behind the decimal. 0.7 times 9. So 9 times 7 is 63. I have one number behind the decimal, so my answer is going to have one number behind the decimal. 2 times 1.3. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. I have one number behind the decimal, so my answer is going to have one number behind the decimal. 0.8 times 9. 9 times 8 is 72. I have one number behind the decimal, so my answer is going to have one number behind the decimal. Ooh, this is a good one. 0.02 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0 is 0. I have two numbers behind the decimal, so I need to have, my answer needs to have two numbers behind the decimal. Ooh, and an even better one to end it on. 0.0036 times 19. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 5 is 32. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 9 times 0 is 0. Okay, scratch, 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 lay an egg, run around in a circle. On to the next number. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. Let's go ahead and add all this up. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus 3 is 6. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0. Okay. My problem had 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers behind the decimal. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers need to be to the right of the decimal. So my answer, 0.0684. Alright, that's it for this video. I'm sure we'll have a full day just working on multiplication just by itself too.